Good morning, students. Hope you people are doing well in this COVID-19. And myself, Shubha Sanu from IS department, I am going to teach you important concepts about Unix file system. Unix is an operating system we know, and whatever we store, that is in the form of files. We are very much know about Windows operating system. Okay, when we store any files, folders, we create the directories. We go to C drive, D drive, or inside that we can create the folders and we will save the files over there. In Unix operating system, whatever a user do, it is stored in the form of files. So the file structures of Unix is it is like a tree-like structure. Okay. And inside that many directories will be there, and within the directory you can create more directories and you can save the files inside a directory. Now we know a file is nothing but sequence of characters. Sequence of characters means it can include numbers, characters, special digits, right? So a file is nothing but data will be stored inside the file. That is a general description about a file. Now, in a file, when you store any data or any instruction, okay, for example, you have written a C program. When you write a C program, it is just a file, right? It is just a simple file, ordinary file. We can call it as an ordinary file, and we will save that file with a .c extension if it is a C file. Then after each and every instruction, we press enter key, right? We press enter key. And why we press enter key means that will show the end of the line. End of the line, it is represented as a line feed character, or that character will be represented as the end of the line. Okay. In general, okay, sorry for interruption. Okay, next, files can be categorized as ordinary file, then directory file and device file. Okay, please concentrate. File is nothing but a sequence of characters where data is stored inside the file. Okay, and files can be categorized as ordinary file, directory file and device file. So ordinary file, second one is directory file, and third one is device file. Okay. Now, what is this ordinary file? Ordinary file means a simple file. Example is a text file, okay, or an object file created, or any Unix command. So these comes under the ordinary file. So ordinary file can have a extension .txt. Many ordinary files are there. This is just an example. .txt files. We consider these as ordinary files. The files created by a user, right? And many commands in Unix, they also come under this ordinary file. Commands in Unix means, for example, there is one command in Unix called ls. Okay. ls is a command. What is the meaning of ls command? In Unix operating system, if you give ls command, then it will list all the files in the current location or in the current directory, that is ls. It is a command. It is nothing but a file. Okay, it is an ordinary file. What is this ls? It is nothing but a file. File name is ls. It is stored in one of the directory. Okay, and it is nothing but some codes are written into that file. What codes are written? Codes are written in such a way that when a user executes this ls command, then list all the files in the correct directory. So this is nothing but a file, right? It is file having few lines of code. That code will tell our operating system that list all the files in the current directory. Now, this comes under the ordinary file. So ordinary file, a file created by a user or any Unix command or any object file, all these comes under the ordinary file. Next is the directory file. Directory file means, we know a directory, right? Inside that directory, it may contain the subdirectories or it may contain the files also. So this is nothing but the directory file. For example, if we have git as the directory name, right? Inside this git, you can have a folder like is, cs, right? Any number of folders, ec, and here you can have these are nothing but another subdirectories, and within that you can have a file also, f1.t. This is just an example, f1.txt. That means git is the directory. Inside this we have subdirectories, and inside this also we have a text file. So this is the main directory which contains subdirectories, and these subdirectories again may contain the directories, again may subdirectories, and as well as the files. So this one we call it as a directory file. We have ordinary file. Okay, it is nothing but a sequence of characters or a data is stored inside the file. They may be a text file, simple text file, or an object file created, right? When you write a source program and when you compile it, object program will be created. So these comes under the category ordinary file. Next is the directory file. Directory file means it is a directory which contains a subdirectory and as well as the files inside it. Next is the device file. Device file means we know that our system will be connected to IO devices. So whenever it is connected to IO devices, the best example is if a printer is connected to our system. I want to print a file, okay? Then what I should do, I will send that file to the printer. It is not just simple sending file to a printer. Here what happens, I need a file called the device file. Device file is related to the devices connected to our system. For example, if a printer is connected, then we must have a file which will tell that what type of printer is connected to that file, and when I send a file to the printer, what type of communication, how many bits should be transmitted to the printer. It is not just simply sending the file to the printer. All these care must be taken, and this is nothing but done by the device file. Okay, in the device file, first it will check whether our file is ready, or operating system will check, okay, file is ready, how many, it is a serial communication or it is a parallel, how many bits or the character should be transmitted to the printer. So all these are taken care by the particular device file. Similarly, if you want to store any data into the magnetic disk, the magnetic disk storage capacity, the speed will be different than our CPU, because CPU is faster than our magnetic disk. If you want to store anything into the magnetic disk, then again we need a file which will tell, okay, this is the magnetic disk, this one is the sector and this one is the track. You have to transmit these many data or these many bits per second to the magnetic, because you can't send many number of bits per second because magnetic disk is slower than the CPU. So who will take care about all these things? Our operating system will take care about all these things with the help of the device file. Okay. Now in this lecture, okay, till now we discussed about what is a file. The file contains a sequence of characters. Yeah, it may be numbers or the special characters or anything here that is stored in a file. File, it is categorized into three types, that is ordinary file, directory file and the device file. Ordinary file, the best example is a simple text file where we have simple text messages, right? And the end of the line is, for example, if we have written any sequence of commands or any instructions, this is end of the line, it is called as the line feed character. The line feed character, it is not visible, but whenever we press enter key, by default, the line feed character will be inserted. We can't see that line feed character. Line feed character means here it will tell the end of the line, right? So simple text file, all these comes under the ordinary file. The next is the directory file. Directory file means we have a main directory. Inside that main directory, we can have the subdirectories or the files, any number of directories like that. And this one we call it as a directory file. The next is the device file. Device file means these are the special type of files which are related to the devices connected to your system. So if a printer is connected, a different device file will be there which is related to that printer. If any IO devices connected to your system, that configuration, all these will be different. So each and every device will have its own device file here. Different type of devices, they have different device file, and these device files are related to those devices. It is not a normal ordinary file, right? So these device files will be there. That is not, we can't make any changes to the device files, because if you make any changes, error may occur. So these are not an ordinary file. So all these comes under the different types of files. Now we talk about Unix file system. In Unix, whatever the user create or anything that is in the form of files, everything will be stored in the form of files. And what is the file structure of Unix? File structure of Unix, it is a hierarchical. That means it is like a tree-like structure. Tree-like structure means the first one, we call it as a root directory. See, this is called root. Root directory, and it is represented as a forward slash. So this is the forward slash. Remember, the forward slash, it indicates the root directory. So in a root directory, in Windows what happens, we don't have a root directory like this. We can have any number of directories and subdirectories. There is not a single root directory under which all the subdirectories will come. But in Unix operating system, whatever the user do, everything, the device file, okay, the configuration files, temporary files, all these files, user created files, all these files are created inside this root directory. This root directory, it is represented as a forward slash. And inside this root directory, we can have any number of directories and as well as the files. For example, we can have etc. These are the name given to the directories here. etc, tmp, many are there. I am returning only few here. Home, right? Again in home we can have user1, and here it is user2, and we can have a device file like this. Many are there. Okay, many are there. This is the file system structure, a Unix file system structure. Now you can see the structure, it is like a tree structure, right? Topmost is our root directory, inside which we can have the other directories. All the directories and files, they come under one parent directory, that is the root directory. And here we use another term in Unix file system as parent-child relationship. Parent-child relationship means a simple, see here, this is the temporary file, right? This one, now root is the parent of TMP. Similarly, root is the parent of home and home is the parent of user1. Now you can tell root directory is grandparent of user1. Just in the normal words we are explaining. This is called the parent-child relationship because these are called the child here. Root is the parent, it's the main parent directory here. Under this root directory, parent directory, we have the children here. And again, this can be a parent of user1 and user2. Similarly, in user1, if we have f1.txt, this is txt file, it is not any directory, right? f1, and you can have f2.txt, right? So many text files can be saved under user1 and as well as in user2. So this is the tree structure of the Unix file system. Understood? Now what we have discussed, what is a file? How many types of files can be categorized as mainly into three types, that is ordinary and as well as the directory and then device file. We have discussed about what is an ordinary file, right? Next is the directory file, next is device file, then Unix file system structure, right? It is like a hierarchical structure and just like a tree structure it is. There is one directory called root directory under which all the other files and directories will fall. Whatever you create in a Unix, everything will come in the root directory. Root is the main directory, parent directory here. And whatever the subdirectories you have created, that will be inside here. Okay. Now user1, home, and this is the root directory. Every directories and files, they fall under the root directories. And here the parent, root is the parent directory of these, right, TMP. TMP is the child of root directory. Similarly, user1, home and root directories are there. Home is parent of user1, right? Root is parent of home, whereas root is grandparent of user1. This is called parent-child relationship. Okay? I think these concepts are clear. Okay, you should know what is a file, what are different types of files. Files are categorized into three types. What is the structure, file structure of a Unix file system? Okay, next is what do you mean by parent-child relationship? Now, again, one more thing is, see, you can see all these DEV, etc, TMP, home, user1. What are these? Device files. DEV is nothing but all device files are stored under this. Okay. etc means all the configuration files, that means files which are not modifiable by a user, only the administrator have an access to those files, those will be stored in this etc. It is by default the name is given as etc itself, and here also DEV. DEV in Unix means it contains device files. And what is this TMP? TMP contains the temporary files created. Okay, meanwhile, while execution or doing any programs or we do maybe run many applications, the temporary files may be created. These temporary files are stored in this TMP. Okay. Next is the home. Home directory. Whenever the user log into the system, automatically all the files or his directory will be created inside this home, not inside the other directories here. What happens? Home is there, inside the home, whenever user log in, for example, user 1, my name is Shubha. Okay, whenever I log in into the system with my name, a folder will be created or directory will be created here, that is inside this home directory. That means as soon as the user log in, Unix operating system will create a path inside this home directory. Whatever I do, that is inside the home, and home will be under the root directory. And there may be any n number of users, or whenever n number of users log in, all the path will be created, right? He can create the files, he can create the directories, whatever he can do, that will be inside this home. So like this, we have many files and folders here. Everything falls under the root directory. Root directory is represented as a forward slash. Understood? Okay, next we will move to the first command here. The first command is pwd command. Okay, commands in Unix. Now we discussed about different types of files, the structure of the file in Unix operating system. Okay, what is the root directory? It is the main parent directory under which all the other directories will be put inside that root directory. Next, we will discuss the commands in Unix. Commands in, what is a command? Command is nothing but whenever we give that command name in the Unix, it will run the command and it will act according to what the code is written inside the command here. For example, the best example, a simple example is a pwd command. And remember, whenever you give a file name, that can be up to 255 characters, right? It can have the numbers, underscore, it can have, up to 255 characters you can name a file here, the file name. And it is case sensitive. Whenever you give a name to a file or any directory, and it is case sensitive, Unix is case sensitive. If you write a small case letter, then again when you give the file name, you should give a small case letter only. Now, pwd, all are small case here, pwd command, that is present working directory. Pwd is present working directory. Present working directory. Present working directory means, suppose, think you are user 2, okay, you are user 2, you have created many files and all, you have created many files and folders, right? You want to know the path where you are in, okay, in which folder you are, in which directory you are in. Because whenever user starts working, he will be unaware about in which, he don't bother about which folder he is working or which directory. In Windows, what happens, we will click on the particular drive and folder and we will start working on that. But here what happens, here there is one command called pwd command, that is present working directory. Suppose in Unix or the Linux, this is the prompt, right? Here, if you give pwd command and press enter key, pwd is present working directory. Suppose if I am user 1, okay, I want to know my path here. My path means what? Where I am, in which folder I am, and what is the path. Now see, what is the path of this device file? Path is root and dev. This is the path, okay? Just like your home address, right? You will give all the address in the same way. This is the path here, this is root directory and then device. What is the path of etc? Under the root directory, this is etc. What is the path of home? it is under the root directory. I have a home. Next, what is the path of user 1? In user 1, under the root directory, I have home, and after that home, I have user 1. Right? This is the path of user 1. This is called the path. Path means under which directory or the folder I am working. Now, if you are user 1, then if you give pwd command, see, we are telling pwd as a command here. And these commands are nothing but ordinary files. Why we call it as ordinary files means you can execute that pwd command, and it is something of file where it is also pwd is nothing but a name of the file. Okay, pwd is the name of the file. Inside the file, the code is written, and the code tells our operating system that the user is executing this pwd command. What you have to do is, please write here the path of the current working path of the user. Now, if you give pwd, the output will be root, right? This is the root directory. Under the root, I have a home directory here. Then I have user 1. Now, this is called the path. So, present working directory will be shown by the pwd command here. Now, please concentrate. The first forward slash, whatever I am writing, this is nothing but a root directory. After that, I am again writing a forward slash. That is not a root directory. Don't confuse here. The first whatever we write, that is a root directory. After that, whatever you write here forward slash, they are nothing but delimiters. Delimiters means they separate from one directory or file to from the another one, and these are nothing but the delimiters. The first one is the root. Okay, first forward slash, whatever you write, whatever it shows on the screen, that is nothing but our root directory, and this is our root directory under which many directories are there, and they are separated by these delimiters. They are also represented by the forward slash, but this one is a delimiter, whereas this one is a root. That is the difference. Okay. Now we know that what is pwd command. You should know only the basic Unix file system. Okay, what is the structure of a Unix file system? What do you mean by root directory? What is parent-child relationship? Next, what are the basic commands here? The simple example of the basic command in Unix is, one of the example is pwd command. The command is, it is nothing but a file. Okay, some programs, a line of code will be written into that, and the name of the file is pwd. We call it as command. Why? Because when we just give the file name here, it will run and it will execute that command. It will search, our operating system will search where that pwd is present. Okay, that file may be present in the directories here, maybe in etc or in any other directory, and it will run and it will give the output here. So if you are working, you want to know the path. Okay, you want to know in which folder I am, in which directory I am, then you can give a pwd command, that is the present working directory. Okay, next one is a home directory. Okay, now you can see the home directory. Home directory is this one, right? One of the method is giving pwd. When you give pwd command, it will show the present working directory. Another is home directory. Home directory means as and when user log into the system, he will be placed inside this home directory. Now what happens? There is one variable called, we call it as a shell variable. We will discuss that later, you will learn all these things. Shell variable. So this is one variable. It is called shell variable. All are in capital HOME. What is this shell variable? This variable will hold the path of the current user working, that is the current working directory. Instead of pwd, if you give, see this is our prompt, echo command. Echo means whatever is there, it will display inside this home variable. And here we are writing again $sign because this is a shell variable here. Please understand, this home is a shell variable. This variable will hold the path of the current working directory or the user. Whenever user log in, his path will be saved in the variable called the home, and it is called a shell variable. This way also you can get the working directory, or else if you give pwd, then also you will get the same output. There are two ways. One, to give a command, that is pwd. Another is using the shell variable, because these variables hold the path of the current working directory. To know the content of the variable, if you give like this, then also you will get the same output. And this is about the shell variable and a home, and as well as the pwd command. Okay. Next we will learn path names. There are two different path names are there. So absolute path name and relative path name. Suppose if you are working the user 1, okay, you want to go to user 2 here, or else you want to go to this TMP, you want to go to some other folders or the directories. Then how to move, okay, how to move from one folder to another or one directory to another directory, because you will be knowing that you are in user 1. Okay, you want to in user 1 here also you can have some other folders F1 and F2. Okay, F1, F2 may have text files T1, T2 and T3, T4. Now I am working in F1, I want to move to F2. What I should do? Okay, I am in F1, I want to go back to user 1. What I should do? Okay, I am in user 1, I want to go back to home. What I should do? Then you have to give the path name, a complete path name. So there are two different types of giving the path. One is absolute path name and another is relative path. Absolute path and relative path means, for example, see T1, okay, T1.txt file is there, T3.txt file is there. Now what I will do, I am in this F1 folder, okay, F1 folder, I want to know the content of T3, okay, F1 folder is there, F1 folder is under user 1, user 1 again have F2, again in F1 I have T1.txt, T2.txt, here I can have T3 and T4. This is just an example. Now what happens? I want to know the content of T. Presently I am here, F1. Okay. I want to know the content of T3. To know the content of any file in a Unix, we give a command called the cat command. Cat T3.txt. Okay. What I'll do, I know that I have one folder called F2 where I have one text file called T3. I want to know the content of I want to display the content of the file T3. Then what I will give? I will give cat t3.txt. Cat t3.txt. Then our operating system won't be knowing where the T3 is, because presently I am in F1. I want to display the content of T3 which is in another folder. So for this one it doesn't work. Why? Because I have to execute T3 by giving its path properly. Why? Because see, now I am in F1, right? I root, then in home, then I am in user1, I am in F1. I am in F1, but I want to execute the file which is present in F2. But when I give cat t3.txt, it will not display the content of the file T3 here. Why? Because T3 is present in another folder, though it is under user1 only, but in another folder. So I have to give a complete path to execute T3 or to know the content of the file T3. And this complete path name, whatever we give, that is called the absolute path. Now, the absolute path how I can give is root. Okay. Next is I can give here cat root home, right? User1, then F2, then T3.txt. Then press enter key. What happens here? I am giving the complete path to display the content of the file T3. When we give the complete path, okay, now it understands that, okay, I should go to the root, then home, user1, then to another folder F2, then execute T3.txt file. And this path, we call it as the absolute path. Complete path we are giving. This is fine if we have the path length is less. Okay, if we have some 20 folders inside that, again in the folder again subfolders are there, again in that again many folders are there, then what happens? Giving the complete path is a tedious one. We should know everything, in which folder I am, again which folder, again inside that I should go. You have to give the complete path to execute that. That is the main drawback of absolute path here. Absolute means a complete path of a file or the directory we should give in order to execute that. This complete path, starting from the root directory you have to give, starting from the root directory, the subdirectories, and finally our file name. This we have to give, and this is called the absolute path. Next, we have another command called date command. And remember, if we have the folders, right, F1 and F2, F1 and F2 under user1. Okay. Here, if I created t1.txt, in the same folder, I can't have another file by the same name t1.txt. It is not allowed. You can have the same file name in another folder here, t1.txt, but not inside the same folder. It is not allowed in Unix. You can have the same name to the file in another folder, right? In F2, the path is different. Its path is different and this path is different, so the file names are same. But both should not have the same path. See, path of T1 is what? Root home user1 F1. If we have the another file with the same T1, again same path will be there. That is not possible. You should not give the same name to the file under the same folder. You can have the same name to the file in another folder, but not inside the same folder. Okay, this you have to remember. Then next we can have a command called DATE command. Date command. Date command means whenever we know pwd is a command which gives present working directory. Similarly, a date command will display the date, okay, current date. Now, to execute the date command, here you can see I am giving the absolute path here. So, this is called the absolute path. This is absolute path name. That is the forward slash. It is nothing but a root. Inside this bin, like this root, you can have a bin directory here. And inside the bin, I am giving the date command. Because inside the bin, we will be having the date. Date is again a file here, right? When I execute the date command, what happens? I am giving the absolute path here, root, bin, date. Then you might ask, how do we know that which command present in the which folder here? Actually what happens, this is one of the ways. Another way is usually we don't run the command by giving the absolute path here, right? When you run any command, Unix commands, directly we will give the command name. We don't give the path. Okay, if we know the path, it is well and good, you can give the path, same execution. If we don't know the path, because here we know the date is present in bin, because I know that it is present in a bin folder, but how a user know that commands are present in which folder? Then what he will do is directly he will execute the date command. He don't give the absolute path name here. Why? Because that our Unix operating system will be knowing that which Unix command is present in the which folder. Okay, you can run the command just like that, or else you can give the absolute path name of the command. Now this date command, okay, the path is stored in one of the variable called path variable, PATH. So PATH is again another variable which holds the address or the path of the date command here. So whenever we execute date command, no need to give an absolute path here. Yeah, directly you can, usually we don't give any path here. Just to give an example, what is absolute path, I have written this one. Directly you can give a date command. Our operating system will be knowing where this date command is, because the path will be stored in the variable called the path, all are capital PATH. This variable is holding the path of the date command. What our operating system will do? Our operating system will search where the date command is. Where it will search? It will see the path variable, content of the path variable. Here it is storing bin and date. Now our operating system knows that, okay, it is present under the root bin, again in bin date. It will go to the bin folder, again go to the date, and it will execute the date command. And the complete path, whatever we are giving, that is called the absolute path. Okay, that is the absolute path here. Next, we will see cd command. Another command. Okay, we have studied pwd command, right? Next, date command. Cat, just I have given explanation. ls means it will display. These are the examples I have taught in this lecture, like ls is list all the files. Cat means it will display the content of a file. Date means it will display the date. Pwd means present working directory. These are the commands. When we give the command, it will work and it will give the output. Next, we have command called cd. CD means changing directory. So CD is a command changing directory. That means one is giving the complete path, right? If I want to move to F2, then what I should do? I want to execute any file here, I can give the complete path and I can execute. If you want to move to from one folder to another folder, then you can give a CD command, that is the changing the directory. Okay. Now, this F1 is there. Okay. From F1, just give an example, user1, F1, again we have another folder called C programs. Okay, again here I can have c1.c and c2.c. Just user1 will be in home directory and home is under the root directory. Okay. Now if we have a structure like this, now what happens? Suppose, consider I am in F1. Okay, under user1 I am working in F1. How to know the present working directory? I will give pwd. I am working in F1. Then what is the path it gives? First one is the root, next is home, next is user1. Okay, these are the delimiters. Next is F1. Now what happens? F1. Okay. Now I am in F1. I want to move to this C program folder. Okay. In the same one, same directory, not in another directory. Okay. You have user2 here. Now what happens? In user1, I am in F1. Again in F1, I want to go to C program. Then what you have to do? This is the present working directory. Next, I have to give CD cprog. That means under the same directory, under the same folder, I want to move to another one. That means I am in user1. Under user1, I am in F1. I want to move to C program. Then what you have to give is CD command CD C program. Then what happens? Again, if you want to know the present working directory, what is the path? Here it is home, right? Next it is user1. Next it is F1. Then it is C program. Okay. This is one of the way going there. CD C program. Now, okay, please understand this. Now, F1 C program is there. Now in this C program, again I can have a Python folder. Okay, some files are there. I am in F1. I want to move to Python here. Then one of the option is CD C program. Then again go to CD Python. Or else you can give as CD C program. Okay. Next Python. This is another way of going inside. Directly in one line, change the directory. This is C program. Right. In F1 I am going to see, under that I am going to Python. Directly you can give that. This is nothing but our change directory. Right. Change the directory means you can move to any folder or any directories. In this example, I am explaining only in one directory. Right? Only I am in user. I have not explained how to go to the user2 or any other directory. I am explaining in the same directory how to move to the different folders and execute the different text or any command. Okay. Hope you people understood this. In the next class, Just I will do a revision and we will move to the next commands in Unix file system. Thank you.